And by the way, hello, welcome to Ossiana Talks to People. This time we've got Fred Poag, and he and we might look like polar opposites, like my Nancy Spungen looking face and him looking like a beardy lumberjack dude, but we actually have one thing in common, and we're both blue dots in red areas.
Yes, yes. It's weird to think that, like, because I'm in like the red dot of one of the red dots of Colorado, because there's a Democratic governor, and then we have two Democratic senators, and I'm in Lauren Boebert's district, you know, and I'm in the Christian part of Colorado, which is weird, you know. It's like, where I go out and I get a little too comfortable, and they start talking about the Lord and Savior. I'm like, "Oh, man."
Yep, not
Yes.
me.
Yes,
Nope.
sure. Lord and Savior. Yep. No. I there was a woman that I was chatting up. I got her number, and it was one of those. I was like, "Oh, I'll try it the old school way," because online dating is, you've written about it. It's such a
Yeah.
fucking, oh my God. And we ended up talking, and it was like, it's just like, "Where are your politics at?" I'm pretty much a Democratic socialist, and I hate Trump. I think he's a fascist. Well, I think he's done some good things. This ain't gonna work.
Like, oh, wow.
This ain't
When you
gonna
heard
work.
that, I know you well enough to know you probably almost became an innie when you heard that. You were like, nope, never mind.
I was just like, "Oh, all right." And she's like, "I'm a devout Christian." I'm like, "Okay." You know? She's like, "Does that scare you?" I'm like, "No." But I didn't want to say I probably know more about your religion than you do. But no. And it was like, and she's like, "I like to play golf and shoot guns." And I'm like, "Okay." I mean, I don't play much golf. You know, do you shoot guns? I'm like, "No, it's too expensive. I know how, but, uh, you know, I don't feel like,
I mean, at that point, you're just playing count the red flags.
Well, then my buddy, like, who he does like home repair and stuff, right? He's got a business in doing that, and he's talking to me. See, he gets all the dates that I want to get, right? Because he's like, "I had this messed up date." I was like, "Okay," and I'm thinking he's like, "I met this chick, you know, and we met up at this place," and so he's like, "We're getting ready to walk in, and it's a honky tonk bar," and I'm like, "Okay, all right." And she has a leash on, and she hands me the leash, and she says, "Do you wanna walk me in?" And I'm like, "Dude, jackpot. What?" He's like,
So
"No,
he
man."
would be scared of me.
Right, yeah, yeah, he's like, "Oh, no, it weirded me out." I was like, "Why?" Like, and I'm like, "Why though?" Like like, that's like I'm like, "Oh, it's that kind of party. Okay." I'm down. And, and then he's like, "Yeah, he's like "We had a good night." So we made out in the car, but he's like, because guys, like, you made out in the car. He goes, "Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work." After we made out with her, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, "Okay." And so he said, like, the next day he gets a knock at his apartment, and it's her, and he never gave her address, right?
Okay, see, I would do the leash walkie thing because I'm a
Yeah.
freak like that, but showing up at some guy's apartment without even him giving the address, that is fucking wild.
But then he goes, "Oh," he goes, "Now do you see that was scary?" I'm like, "Nah, dude, I would have invited her in because, that's good
Okay,
training."
sir, we need to talk about dating safety 101 with you, Fred.
No, no, no. Nick Parrow's in the chat. He understands. I'm a former Marine. It's like, I just consider that good training. That's all that is. It's like, if you get, I mean, think about it. If you get a stalker girlfriend, she's gonna do half the work of showing up that you don't even need to ask. She'll just be there, right?
Yeah.
That's a bonus. You're just like, "Oh, I didn't expect you here. Come on in." And
I
if she
mean,
tries to kill you in your sleep, you just need to learn vigilance. You know.
when you put it like that, you actually make it sound appealing, and I'm not sure whether I should start just like advertising myself as a psycho like that.
You
I
probably.
myself am I myself am recently single. So if anybody wants
Oh,
to drop a
okay.
pile of red flags with daddy issues, hi, I'm available. I also have a loyal fan, so that means I'm certified in having daddy issues.
There you go.
Um,
Like, absolutely. And see, but yeah, it's funny because he gets those dates and I seem to get Frederick, have you heard of Jesus Christ? I'm like, what?
oh,
Which I mean, if you go far enough, you will get like the freakniks on that one if
yes.
you go far in. But I'm just like, yeah, I can't do it. Because the problem is then I want to pull out like my Marx and Engel reader and just start, flipping to seizing the means of production, and then she's like, but I don't believe in any of that. It's like, all right, let's get Lenin and the state and revolution. And let's just start reading from there.
They kind of look like Jesus. They had beards.
I know, right?
That should be enough for them. It's superficial enough.
So you're recently single?
Yes, my
Ah,
husband and I, we mutually decided that we should get divorced.
no.
Um,
I'm
like
sorry to hear that.
we're still friends. Like
Yeah.
we're always gonna have this like weird like symbiosis, but things were not working out. I didn't realize like how bad things were not working out until like a couple of days ago, and and after that I was just like, okay, you know what, this is not working the way it should.
Mm,
There's a couple of things like I'm an unstoppable force. If I want to do something, I will do it. God help me. But just as stubborn as I am, so is he.
yeah.
And there were like those issues, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't wish him ill. I wish him well, but um
Well, I remember you were always like taking on everything in the world on your plate. Like, you were doing this and doing that. And I was just like, I think one time we talked, I was like, girl, just, it's okay. You can slow down a little bit. You know, you don't want to burn out. And, but no, I mean, you put out great content. You put out really good thought pieces. So I've always like, when you're like, hey, let's do a live, I was like, okay, for sure. You know, um, yeah, it sucks though. I went through a divorce back in the day. It's never fun.
I mean, at least with us, like the divorce is gonna be very quick. We've
Yeah,
agreed on everything. As I said, this dude's gonna be my homeboy for life, but um I definitely think I want something different in a marriage. I know that I'm very non-monogamous. Have
yeah,
a very I have a very like sculpted idea of what a marriage should be. It does not align with what he wants for his future, so we just have to split. Um, yeah.
yeah. Well, and I mean and I think that's the thing nowadays is like is there's so much more freedom to kind of well, there's so much more cultural freedom to be kind of do what you need to do, different
Yeah.
relationships, like whether it's non-monogamy, ethical, what is it? Ethical
Mhm.
non-monogamy, which is a thing now, and then like the polypod stuff and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Like with this stuff, and it's very interesting because we're both blue dots in red areas. I live in a blue state, but the area that I live in right now anyway is blood red. Like we're talking there are Trump signs on lawns, QAnon signs.
oh god,
I've like I have like a day job. Um a couple days a week. We had one person come into the store, and he got very aggressive with me, and then I saw that he was wearing a Trump shirt, so I said, okay, instead of me getting punched in the face, I should probably ask him about his Trump shirt. Long story short, 20 minutes later, he turned into a giant teddy bear and was lecturing me on the fact that he thinks that the moon is not real. So I was just sitting there, I was like, okay, yeah, the moon is not real. I'll make sure to take that into my notes. Oh yeah, it's made out of LEDs. Got it. Like I didn't even know what to say at that point. I was just like, could somebody please get this guy away from me so that I don't die?
the moon is made of, I've not heard that one, you know? The
The
moon's made out of
conspiracy
LEDs.
theories.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they've had LEDs going back all the way to ancient Greece, you know? The moon's made out of LEDs. That's amazing. That's
I
fantastic.
I didn't even know how to reply to that after a while, so I just let him continue talking. He seemed very happy to teach me his wisdom. Um,
Men
I didn't
tend to
know what
do that.
else.
Men
Yeah.
men men, like, they love to, like, lecture women on God, like, you know, I try to be a little more classy, but I just do lives with women so I can sneak it in, you know? And it's like instead of random women on the street and because, you know, one is, you know, quasi entertainment. The other one is, you know, harassment. So I try to
Exactly.
avoid the harassment part.
And it's very interesting because I've noticed that, like, speaking as somebody who comes off very liberal, I actually, like, still go up north, to, like, the New York City area just to be around other people in blue states. It's funny that we started talking about dating because I noticed that there's a very weird, trend among conservatives where, like, they're really attracted to us, like,
Yes.
us leftists.
Mhm.
And, like, it gets very weird because with me, like, I work in adult films, I have a loyal fans. I I'm one of those, like, weirdos who will be like, "Hey, could you give me a walkie on this leash?" Most conservatives would never be seen in public with that up until about 5 years ago. Then all of a sudden, they all want the hot goth chick. They all
Mhm.
want the left-leaning girl, and I'm like, "Y'all are trying to convert me, ain't you?"
It's a
That's what it
it's
is.
no, I think what it like, yeah, part of that is, but it's also an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I think you actually did a piece on this, and I might have responded to it, and it's just, like, it's the same reason, like, certain guys, like, wanna get a lesbian, right? Because it's like, if you, as a heterosexual guy, you get a lesbian, you know, or you know, whether she's bi or whatever, it's like, "Oh, look at me, I pulled a lesbian," right? She likes
Mhm.
other women, but she made an exception for me, right? So, like, for conservative men, it's kinda the same mentality where it's,
Yeah.
you know, "Oh, look at me, I pulled a feminist," right? You know, da 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 da, and, like, I made her, you know, submit to my virile manliness or whatever. Because conservative women technically already submit. So
Yeah.
there's no challenge there. There's no, you know, like, oh, like, it's like, "Oh, I could already get her," right?
Mhm.
Which I find it's funny because all the things they want, you know, the sexually liberated woman, you know, the like, that all exists kind of on the left.
Yeah.
And you could get that from your own women, but you won't let them be free and fly their freak flag, you
Hey,
know?
Kevin Cox. But yeah, like, that's a thing, and the funniest thing is that, like, I've been in the BDSM scenes since I was a teenager, and the weirdest, most messed up people in the bedroom were always conservatives. Like,
Yeah,
bar none.
yeah,
The worst of the worst was actually working for the Department of Defense at one point as a contractor. And, like, those people are, like, crazy deviant, but the thing is that they never show it. They need to have this, like, vision of, like, pristine cleanliness, and I think to a point, it's starting to backfire on them because a lot of the women that they had around them and the women are fleeing in, like, record numbers.
yeah.
Um, their society got so puritanical and they kinda, like, beat it into the women's brains so much that sex is bad, it's not romantic, this, that, and the other, it's submission, that a lot of those women genuinely do not seem to be interested in getting laid at all. Like, they're actually actively grossed out by men. So they kinda just,
Or
yeah.
you kinda get this, what's fascinating is, like, so as I started going back out into the dating scene, like, I would have, younger women, like, in their 20s, right? Their later 20s hit me up. And I don't put my age down, like, as far as, like, you know, I'm gonna be 49 tomorrow, so it says 48, you know? And I talking with them, I'm like, "You know, I'm, like, 20 years older than you, right?" And a lot of them are just it's like, "Yeah, but the men my age," and I'm 'cause they're either freaked out about something that they do, whether they work or
Mhm.
this or that. I'm like they're like they'll ask me things like, "Well, does this bother you?" I'm like, "No." Like, "Why would it?" You know? It's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like,
Yep.
"Nope, don't care." You work full time, that's fine, whatever. "Oh, I don't wanna have kids." Okay, great, you know? Sometimes I like to date women. Yeah, whatever floats your boat, you know?
It's a thing.
Yeah. I and, I'm like and I asked a couple of them. I was like, "Man, is it really
Yeah.
that bad out there? Is it really that bad?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "'Cause" I'm like, "Guys, I mean, y'all have all this technology and all this stuff that I didn't have as a young man. How is it this hard? How is it this hard? I don't
So
understand it."
I can explain what's happened with me. Cause like, I'm not monogamous. When I'm feeling lonely, like, I'll go out and I'll go on the hunt for some cutie with a booty, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I'd be like chatting up a bunch of guys on online dating, and then I'd be like, okay, so let's meet. The moment that it actually comes up to a meet, they never show up. They'll just like drift. They won't even show up. So like it got to the point where I'm like, okay, if we're actually gonna meet up, I need you to be within 5 minutes of me, like physically. Then I'll like come in and I'll actually like join you. Otherwise, I have to continue my work. I have to continue this, that, and the other. I can't like because for me, like when I go on a date, like I like to have preparation. I like to build up like, the excitement. I'll go dressed to the nines. And for someone like me, like if I'm really like putting in all the stops to look like hot, it can take me like an hour. And a lot of women are kind of the same way where if they're dressing to the nines, they might take an hour and a half. One of my friend actually took 4 hours to get ready for a date.
Damn.
So the fact that they're not even like showing up is like that's a huge turnoff for me. And it got to the point where I don't take most people who hit on me seriously. And
Yeah.
I'll just like flirt with everyone simply because I think that's just now our culture where we're all just kind of like winking and nodding but not doing anything.
It's interesting because, like, I'll get a lot of women that will do the same thing on social media. It's like you know, it's like you go back and forth, and eventually it's just like, "Hey, you wanna meet up?" It's like, "Well, let me see, blah, blah, blah." And, I've been out of the dating scene for about 8 years where I was just hunkered down, either life was and I was just doing that. And I'm just like, "Hey, we've gone back and forth. We've seen it has some chemistry. Wanna exchange numbers and meet up? See if we got
Yep.
anything more about this?" It's like,
Oof.
you wanna do coffee, you wanna do a dinner, whatever, no matter to me. I gotta eat, you gotta eat. Let's do it. Let's see if we can actually carry on a conversation with each other for an hour. And,
Mhm.
and I've had a few dates where it's like, it's like, hey, she was nice, but just didn't go nowhere. Or life was, and that's the other thing too, is a lot of people are just they're busy, you know.
Yeah.
And
Like
yeah, it's just life's happening and they don't have time and so it's like, okay. But I'm not one of these people that's just gonna like, hey, let's text back and forth on the dating app for like 3 months. I'm like, nah, I'm good with that. You know?
yeah, I think a lot of it is because both women and men, like men at this point, they're like a lot of younger men in particular. And I've noticed this a lot more with right-leaning guys than left-leaning, though left-leaning guys do this too. They're so desperate for validation from
Yeah.
women in particular that it's gotten absolutely like out of control. So once they get that validation via text message that, hey, they're actually interested, they'll vanish. Or like with women, sometimes it is that they, are interested, but a lot of them like they think back to their old experiences and they'll just like pull back automatically or
Yeah.
they'll just be like flooded with, other stuff that they have to do. Like that's usually what happens with me. But
Yeah.
I've also had guys try to convert me to Christianity.
That's
Um
that's funny. I've had a few women try to do that with me, which is hilarious. I had one that hit me up, this is a few years ago, where she was like, "All right, so we're gonna get married and you're gonna come to church, we're gonna have kids," and, like, she was Catholic, and I'm like, "I'm glad you
yep.
got all this planned out." You know? "Well, I think you'd make a good dad." I'm like, "I appreciate that, but I don't think it's gonna roll the way you think it's gonna roll." you know? It's interesting, even with the young women, it doesn't turn into what recently, it doesn't turn into dates. I turn into like their uncle, where they ask me advice. Like that one still asking me advice. Hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, well, da 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 da. And you ought to read this. So she'll hit me up every few weeks now, and it's just like, what do you think about this? I'm like, well, you should. He's like, you got to think about this and think about that, and think about this, da da. And yeah, I said, "You could read this." It's like, I found it very helpful, you know? It's like, I got
Mhm.
one turned on to Jessica Valenti. And it's like, it's like, "Yeah, we should go out." I was like, "Nah, it's not gonna work." It's like, you sound like you're here. You need this." But, oh, yes, Mary Jo, I am single, but, yeah, it's funny because you know yeah, dating is fascinating now because my sister went through it and
Mhm.
had, like, a terrible time. And for years, like she did it for years and she would get so depressed and miserable and this and that. And I
Yeah.
said, work on your art, work on this, work on that. And then finally, like, I think it was a few months ago, I said, well, I might put myself out there, but I feel like I'm like the old man who put the pomade in his hair and, got the dusted off his dancing shirt, his good blue jeans and
Mhm.
walked up to him and said, you know, it's like, "Any of you ladies want courting?" Like,
I mean, if
I
it works, bro. Like,
yeah,
not for
well,
nothing.
I don't know, that's the thing, I don't know if it works anymore, that's the kinda thing is like, um, yeah, yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'm also busy too, where it's like, unless it's, somebody's making an effort, I'm not gonna be on the dating apps all day, I'm not gonna be, doing this, and this, I'm just not. I
Exactly.
I got the thing that gets me up out of bed in the morning, and I think this is a lot of people, is you've got all the stuff in your life that you have to focus on, work, bills, this, that, whatever you're trying to do, personal growth, everything else.
Mhm.
And then, stuff that you're passionate about, right? So for me, it's writing and doing things like this and, creative endeavors that I get to do. And unfortunately, at that point, then dating becomes like oh yeah, it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
And if it's like that for everybody or for a lot of people, well, it's hard to date because you're not.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think too with online dating is it used to be, I'm not, you might be closer to my age. I'm not sure where you're at. Like, but,
I'm almost 40.
oh, okay. So, like, I got a little bit on you, like almost a decade, but but, you know, but back in the day, like, you had to go out to a place, right? So whether it was a rave, like when I was coming up, the thing was in the '90s, like was a rave, right? So you out to rave because, and I remember when I used to like hand out. They had the glossy little
Yep.
postcard things, and the guy told us, he said, just give them to women. Don't give.
Yep.
You better not give a single one to any dude because. And I asked him, I said, why wouldn't I do that? He said, because the guys will find out where the women are going and they'll show up where the women are. And
Correct.
and that's how it was back then. Is like wherever the women were going on a Thursday night, oh, they're going to this club. We got to go to this club. Oh,
Mhm.
they're going over here to this spot. We got to go to this spot. And so you had to go where the women were, and then you had to strike up a whole ass conversation and hope you got enough good banter with these women to get their number. And then you talk to them on the phone and you set up a date and then you go meet them. So by the time you do that, there's a lot of investment and focus, right? So if you're
Yeah.
like, I kind of like her, all right, done. Yeah, like I don't want to be single no more, right? You know, and nowadays you don't have to have that initial investment. You're like, oh, it's not really, I'm not
Yeah.
really feeling it. All right, swipe, 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 swipe. And so I think there's no initial investment up front. And it's way too easy to just say, I'm good and
Yeah.
move on to the next, and I think that's why like online dating's not as effective as say, like there's this illusion of like, oh, look at all these choices I have, and look, I can always find someone. But then if that's the case, why does everyone end up being single
Yeah,
and not meeting a lot of people? It's because you're not going out to meet people, you know?
exactly. And to a point, like it's interesting that you bring in that investment thing because I've noticed a couple of patterns as somebody who's lived in blue areas and red areas. Left-leaning guys around my age and younger, they tend to not invest in women at all. Like,
Mhm.
they will not pay for the hotel room, they'll try to go halfsies on a first date, and I've started to notice that the ones who do that, they genuinely are not interested in the girl that they're talking to. They're
Yeah.
just there for the hookup, they're just there for something quick to play, but with conservative men, they'll pay for everything even if they're not interested in the girl, simply because they want to be able to say that they've dated because conservative men are incredibly lonely, sad sacks of crap. And like, you know, not for nothing, but I actually found that out by surprise because I was hooking up with a guy and
Yeah.
admittedly, like he picked me up, but he was also only 20 years old.
Okay.
So, and he was a male model, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get along." Oh, you're into rap. Oh, you like doing porn. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get along. So, like he and I, we were hitting it off. He would always pay for everything, but he then dropped the bomb that despite being an immigrant who's Afro Brazilian, he voted for Trump, and
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, why are the pretty ones always insane?" Um,
I think that applies across all genders and non-genders too.
yeah, and
Sorry, pretty people. Sorry, pretty people. We love you. You know.
it was like the weirdest thing because like this was like the first guy who really like pulled out all the stops in a hot minute, and I was expecting him to actually be like left leaning because simply because of the demographic. He's going in like a left leaning field. He's an immigrant. Like it was literally like a bingo card of reasons to be left leaning, but this dude was right leaning,
That's
and
funny.
we just kind of like petered things out. I never saw him again after that. Um, and
That's funny.
like I was looking at the way that like the most vocal leftist guys approach women, and they're talking about how they're having issues around me. And obviously, like because I live in a red area of a blue state, women are a lot more likely to be left leaning than their male counterparts, which means
Sure.
that in this area in New Jersey, like the school systems are good. Women are very well aware, acutely aware of what's on the line if Trump continues to maintain power.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of these conservative guys are hoping that we'll just overlook it for the D. And women here, like they screen so hard when it comes to dates. They'll be like, okay, so did you vote in last election? Oh, how do you feel about politics? Oh, you're left leaning. Oh, so what got you into the leftist movement? And if like they start sniffing and they see that the guy's kind of woke fishing, as they call it, that's that's a term for like right wing guys who are lying and saying that they're leftists. They like these girls go ghost faster than Casper on crack, I swear. Exactly. Jason Odell says you don't get the D if you voted for the T.
Oh my god. Wow. See, I'm like a babe in the woods for all this stuff, man. I'm like, I feel like, yeah, that's the funniest thing is people are like, it's like, oh, where are you at? It's like, I'm pretty vanilla, man. I mean, not that it's like, oh, are you uptight or you don't like? It's like, no, I just like vanilla. You like, it's just how it is. And it's funny because now that I think about it, it's like the same thing that like the right wing guys that want to get with like I get like the right wing women, you know.
Yeah, they want the left leaning guys so that they have the ring on their finger. They don't have the abuse that comes with a conservative relationship. but they can still look conservative and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a little child of God. Look at me in the church." I'm trying to do a southern accent and I do apologize. It sounds terrible.
No, I think the other part of it too is I think part of that is like they know like certain left leaning dudes are they're not going to be mean to them, you know, and
They're
depending
not.
on who they get, yeah, and I look and I kind of look like like I could pass, like it's like if I come home to meet,
Conservative fishing. You're
yeah, right,
conservative
I could
fishing.
pass where they go, oh, if I bring him home, no one's going to be like he's a lib, like until I open my mouth. You know, but then she'd probably be like, "Don't talk to my dad about politics." That's what I'd
Hmm.
probably get. But I mean, the thing that like it's fascinating to me with like dating because like I still will pay for the first date. Like I just and my reasoning is this is like it it keeps me from just trying to like I don't like it keeps me from trying to do the casual hookup, right? Because it's like,
Hmm.
okay, if I gotta pay for this, it's more of an investment. And then
Yeah,
the other thing too is like, you know, it's yeah, like I at some point I'll assume is like, all right, down the road a piece will be a little more 50-50 or whatever. Like, I mean,
hmm,
I don't know. I mean, it may just be a holdover from my era because it's just I just do it. Like I do that with friends that come visit, like guy friends. I'll just be like, yo, I got this, bro. And then I'll pick it up and then they'll get me next time or whatever. But no, I don't think I've ever asked a woman to split it. There's women that I've been on a date with that have said, "Hey, I wanna split it." I'm like, "Okay." You know,
yeah.
I'm not gonna argue with them, and, like, I'm not gonna be like, "No, you're gonna let me pay." I'll say, "I got it," and they're like, I'll offer again, but if they're like, "No, no, I feel better splitting," it's like, "Okay, it's
Hmm.
fine." You know, um, but
So
I just yeah, I don't know. Like, a lot of men, how they move through the world today, maybe they've always moved like this, but it's I think it's they they make themselves weak and it's shameful, you know, because it's like they don't they don't educate themselves, they don't move with a purpose, they don't, like to your point, they want validation from women that they haven't really earned,
mhm,
and it's like I think that mentality sort of keeps you morally weak and adrift, you know?
it does.
Yeah, I think it keeps you, where it's like if you're constantly having to go online, be like, "Oh, I think you're cute. Okay, that's all I need." Yeah, blah blah. It's like, bro, you should get that from educate yourself, from self improvement, from these other things. You don't like you're not treating a woman as a person at that point, right?
Yeah,
She's not. You're not moving through the world as a good man, you know. And it just kind of astounds me that like a bunch of guys like that's just how a lot of dudes move through the world.
it
And
is. And there's this really weird glorification I've noticed in younger guys in particular
yeah,
of being the bully, of being jerks. And the funny thing is that the ones who tend to glorify this the most, it's it's a completely even split between the guys who grew up in like broken homes and know how damaging their behavior is, and guys who grew up with like loving families where they're like where the parents are actually sitting there and they're crying and they're like, I want my son back. Who is this creep who I've raised, you know?
yeah. I it was interesting. I was at a coffee shop the other day, and two young men were sitting having a conversation, you know, and one of them, I'm starting to see this more and more, is like they had on the silver with the turquoise, you know,
Mhm.
and my mom and dad used to like wear that, like in the late '80s, like late '70s, early '80s, like my dad used to actually have a dashiki, like wore that, you know,
Were you
and
adopted?
no, my dad was just kind of contrarian. So hence this is where I got it from, right? And you know, I was drinking coffee and I happened to look at it and I was looking at her jewelry and she looked up And, like, I could see the apprehension in her face. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "I was just looking at your jewelry. It reminded me of my mother. She used to wear things like that when she was younger, you know." And she's like, and I could see her face like instantly relaxing. Oh, that's so sweet. I was like, looks great. I said, it looks wonderful on y'all though. I said, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt y'all, ladies. And
Mhm.
they, I could see it as like, then they wanted to talk and kind of open up to me. And we had a little back and forth and literally like two guys are watching this happen, almost like, what? And they looked up from their computers and they're starting to watch it happen. I'm like, yo, it's literally that easy, guys. It's not,
Mhm.
just have a conversation. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, if I was 10 years younger, I probably asked, I would have sat and chatted them up and see which one was interested and then got her to try to get her number. But I was like, they're 20 and mid 20s at best. I'm not going to be that guy. You know, I was like, we had our nice little, you know, interaction moment. I'm going to leave it at that. And I just, it floors me that like, it feels like that's a lost art, that
Yeah.
engagement, that just being able to talk to people like people, just to recognize the humanity and say, "Hello, hey, there's this." And it's nothing deep. It's just
It's
that's
really
it.
not.
No. And this whole I've seen these young guys act like bullies, and I laugh my ass off when I see it because it's like, man, you you gonna talk to somebody the wrong damn way one day, and it's not gonna work out for you. You know,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work out, and it's such posturing. It's such a waste. It's just BS. And I can't get too mad at them because I did stupid stuff like that on time to time when I was an insecure young man back in the day.
Mhm.
And but hopefully they'll grow out of it. I mean, some men I guess don't. You're seeing that now. They just
I
they don't grow
mean,
out.
there's a really weird trend in society, and I've noticed this like creeping in more and more and more into left wing circles, where if a guy's not doing well and he's part of a couple,
Mhm.
the blame ends up being forced almost entirely on the woman, no matter what the reason is. Like she can warn him, he'll ignore it, still her fault. She can do this, he'll not do it, still her fault. And I've started to notice that with a lot of like guys, specifically younger left leaning guys, I'm starting to see the same resentment that I see in right wing guys towards women, in left wing guys. And it's it's almost as if like when they act that weirdly and that I don't even want to say uncharismatically, but like you can almost feel like a certain strain in like
Mhm.
younger guys where if if they actually like try to chat up a girl, they don't really know what to do.
Yeah,
And they get angry at the girl for not just like flying towards them vagina first. Like not even like after a fucking drink. Like guys, some of us are easy dates. Yours truly, just slip a Xanax in my wine and then you'll probably get lucky. Trust me on that one. Or at least like, get me some GHB that I can snort. Like I'm really a cheap date like that. But like no, but like for real, like it's one of those things I've noticed, like, they get so resentful because they keep thinking that they were supposed to get this, this, and this automatically as a young man.
there it is, right there. That's it. That right there is the biggest problem, and that's why the manosphere has such a hold with these these grifters that come out there. And the thing about it is like, I mean, there's a reason, like, back in the day when you were out playing the fields, like, we used to refer to it as a batting average, right? And
Mhm.
Deion Sanders said it best. They asked him, he said, "Oh, you played multiple sports. What was the hardest sport what was the hardest thing you ever tried to do in sports?" He's like, "Hit a baseball." He's like, "Baseball is the only sport where you hit a ball, like, you do something 4 out of 10 times, you're considered great." And that's
I don't
it.
really know
Just
how that works, but
yeah, no, that's it. It's like it's your batting average, right? Is like if you hit a ball and you get on base 4 out of 10 times, you're great. You have a 400 batting average. Like, you're amazing. And that's kind of like dating, man. Is like when you would go
Hmm.
out and you talk, man. And I think that's what's missing from what's happening now. Is like, you know how many times as a young man that I stepped to a chick and asked her out or tried to chat her up, and my tongue got tied, or I just wasn't on the game that night, and like, she just wasn't interested for whatever reason, or and I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend. Like, oh, that's so sweet. No, I got a boyfriend. So many times. And after a while, you just,
You develop a thick skin for it.
yeah, it's not, listen, it is what it is. And that's one of the things that, like, I used to tell guys when they'd say, oh, I took this girl out, man, you know, and it was like, I bought her all this stuff at the dinner, and then she ended up doing this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I can't believe, I feel so stupid. I said, nah, you shouldn't, man. He says, why? I said, you spent this much on a dinner to find out she didn't like you. Consider it, you got all,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's okay. You know, consider it great. She didn't waste your time. She could have wasted your time, right? She could have drug you along for 3 months,
Hmm.
right? But she didn't. You went out on one date, you paid for it. She said, I ain't feeling it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used me. I was like, no, she didn't. You went on a date. I was like, if she was using you, you would have gone on 4 or 5 dates, and then she would have been like, oh, I'm not feeling it.
Or
Right?
like, there's a weird flip side to this because I see this a lot more with women than men, where women are actually being used by men. There's even a term for it, hobosexual, to keep a roof over their head, food
Yeah.
on the table. And like one of my friends, she had a boyfriend for quite a few years, and I found out that the moment that he moved in with her, the bedroom life stopped completely.
Wow.
And it's like, not for nothing, but when she started flipping out at him and saying that he was using her, she was right.
Yeah. Well,
She's
yeah.
absolutely right. And
Yeah.
it's funny because both men and women seem to want to have that reciprocity,
Yeah.
but somebody's got to pitch in first, and
Yeah.
there's got to be huh?
Yeah, I like, what kills me is, and again, I don't know if this was conservative when the way I was raised or how I came up, but it's like, what does a woman's success or your lack of success have to do with her? Unless she's actively, like, hamstringing you, right? Which is rarely ever the case, right? I mean, people could be in a bad relationship, and I've seen that where it's like every time you're trying to get ahead, they're kind of sort of sabotaging you to kind of keep you down. Like, I've seen it, but it's rare, right? Most of the time it's because it's like it's either you're not doing enough, or it's just the way it's rolling,
Mhm.
like you tried, and it just didn't work out or whatever. And I don't know. I think for me, there was always a pride in, like I don't know. I was taught it's like how you carry yourself in a loss is more important than how you carry yourself in a win,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
And so when life hits you or you lose, how you carry yourself in that loss shows more about how you are as a man or as a person than how you carry yourself in a win. Because you could get lucky
yeah.
and win, you know, and I don't know. I think a lot of it is just I come at it with a different mentality, like, where it's just
Yeah. So
like, go ahead.
what advice would you give to young men who feel frustrated about their dating life, who don't quite understand what they're doing wrong, are wondering like why they're not with the white picket fence, a wife, kids? Because I want to tell them it's not the women's fault. Like, all
Well,
that being able to be a provider shit flew out the window because it was taken by greedy fascists over the course of 50 years.
there's that. The other thing is, one, they never go by their own advice, because their own advice to tell you is like, you're not owed a damn thing, and you're not. No one owes you anything. A woman doesn't owe you anything, right? The other thing is too, man, is like, you know, stop looking outside for the fault. What's in your control, right? And talking to women is just like anything else. How do you get better at, say, like, because a lot of these guys are gym bros. How do you get better at lifting weights? How do you get better at technique? Well, you do it
Mhm.
and you refine it and you practice. And, you know, so it's the same thing with talking to women, right? I hate to say it, well, I'm shy. Okay, well, get unshy. You know, that's my like, unk advice. Where it's just like, well, get unshy. The girl at the library, be polite and chat with her. Hey, how you doing? How's your day? First of all, go hang out in the library. It's like, well, women don't want men like me. Okay, then what should you do?
Be
You should
different.
you yeah, you should change, right? Get smarter. Get get to be more charismatic. Work on your charisma. You know, go out and start interacting with people. And then when you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, well, work on it. You know,
Mhm.
if you like, to your point, if you think that, you come up to a woman and go, hey, oh my God, take me. It's not going to happen, bro. Right?
Yeah.
What are you bringing? And the problem with men is what you've sold is what you've been sold, the bare minimum. Well, if I just make money and I be a provider, that's all I got to do. It's like, oh, so
Nope.
you don't have, so you ain't got to work on your intellectual. You ain't got to work on your emotional. You ain't got to work on your self control. You ain't got to work on your patience. You ain't got to work on your kindness. You ain't got to work on your compassion. All of these things that you can improve through training, right? The Dalai Lama even says that in The Art of Happiness. Compassion is a trait like anything else. You can train it up, you
Yep.
can get better at it. So, what you're saying is you don't have to do anything and work on anything that women want in a partner, but they
Well,
have to do all this work and all these things that you want.
well, that's funny.
That doesn't sound like fairness to me, bro. That doesn't sound like
That's
fairness to me.
that's the funniest thing about this. Like, I've I've written about this about the time that my guy friend was lecturing me on what women want, and according to him, it was chick porn, but it ended up being a ruse by one of his guy friends to get him to do gay porn involving him wearing a tutu and smiling like a politician on election day.
Yo,
And he bragged about it to this girl that he had a hot date with. The girl just kind of like saw the video that he showed her over dinner, and like, dude, I'm sorry, but like, I realize I have porn star friends, and like my friends look really hot when they're, working the camera. I've been there, I've done the scenes, but
yeah.
this guy did not look good doing it, and he looked like he pissed off his co-star. So just see this construction worker looking mofo with a tutu on and a very annoyed looking cat boy next to him. And the girl just kind of like starts laughing at
Yeah.
the dinner table, and she just gets up and walks away. And he thought that she was just going to the bathroom, and no, she just drove off. And then she was telling me, he was like, nobody could have seen this coming.
But I mean, this is the thing, man, is like you get these guys that, man, and, it's funny because if they remind me of like these horrible employees that I used to watch, like I used to manage, right? Is you had these certain types of employees that will actually do more work to get out of the work that they're supposed to do. They
Yeah.
literally just did the work they were supposed to do. It would be less work,
Yeah.
right? And they'll do even more, expend more energy to get out of it. And you get these guys like, I'll go to the gym and do steroids. I'll do
Nope.
this, I'll do that. Instead of just, bro, just be kind, just be consistent, show the hell up, like be dependable. Like if you're dependable and you have integrity and a little bit of like empathy and compassion,
They never have a problem getting dates. I've
that's
seen
it. I
guys
mean, that's why it's if
cheat.
you're just a good person. I mean, think about the guy, like the people you actually want to be around, right? Men or women. That's
Hmm.
it. Just you need to if you want a girlfriend, you need to show up consistently, right?
Hmm.
You know, it's literally about, hey, how can I help? What can I do to help? You know,
Exactly.
And
And
it's
the thing
and
is,
the guy who made the and again, that's what the when you talk about that video, that's what that reminds me of is like, "Oh, well, I don't wanna do all the other things that I need to do to actually get in a long-term relationship. I'm gonna make this video and it's gonna it's gonna hypnotize these women to where they just give
yep.
it up." And that's the problem is I think that mentality is born from they don't look at women as people, they look at women as women. And so and everyone's like, "What do you mean by that? That doesn't make any sense."
Trophies.
There it is. Because the way men are conditioned to is to look at women as trophies. They're things
Hmm.
to be conquered. As we started this conversation, they're things to be acquired. They're like their humanity is stripped from them. And once you kind of make that mental leap and you deprogram and you say, wait a minute, no, man, women are people. They have feelings and thoughts and desires, and they deserve this kind of level of
Hmm.
respect just based on being a human being. And it's wrong for me to be duplicitous and be a shitheel just to try to get laid or try to get this, right? Or to treat them less than because they're a woman. If I treat them like a person and how I would want to be treated, you know, then once you get to that, that's how you start to move down to where you ultimately get what you want, which is love and affection.
Yeah,
Right? But you if you want that, which I think most people do, then you have to treat
you have
women
to.
as people. And for a lot of dudes, they don't know how to do that because they've never been taught to do that. You know, their mom wiped their ass and did stuff for them. And then if the dad was around or he wasn't around, he watched how that interacted. And then he's taught like, oh, well, this is how you pick up chicks, and this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. Is like, man, it's not that. You have to say, you know, like I you would never catch me making a video to get like the guy, the fact that he did that, what I would ask him is like, is that really you, dude? Is that really do you even know who you are? Do you even know what you're about? Like, if it's just about getting laid, what is that doing for you? How is that serving you? Right?
It is and it isn't serving him. A lot of guys I've noticed they're like, it's weird because I'm kind of a guy in this sense.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of guys, sex grounds them, and it also gives them that validation. It gives them an endorphin rush. Like some guys are straight up sex addicts, and I'm cool with that. I understand it. But with a lot of the younger guys, I've also noticed that they don't listen to women when they say what when women say what they want. It's
Yeah.
they'll listen to men. They'll be like, "No, no, no. Women want six packs. Women want hyper muscles. Women want the six figures. Women won't date guys under 6 feet tall. Women need a man with like a 8-inch penis. Only some of us need an 8-inch penis, sir. Thank you." But like these guys end up like just kind of giving themselves these weird like inferiority complex
I just
when
I tell you straight up, man. I'm 6'5". I do all right in, the equipment department. I probably had as good of a record as the average guy and picking up women. I'm telling you, it's like it just depends on the woman. It depends on what she likes and what she. There's some women that zero attraction to me, and then there were other women that were like, "Oh my god, you're so handsome." It
exactly
just
like
it just depends. It depends, like just how you probably don't think all women are attractive, or your chase change or whatever. Like, or it doesn't matter. It's like it's the same thing. And every woman is looking for something particular and different, right?
yeah,
Hell, you might even be not her type, and you catch her on the right day. You say the right line, it gives you the opening to where she's like, "Well, not really my type, but okay, I'll give him a shot." You know, like
exactly.
I've had that happen.
Like
It's like anything, gents. It's like it's man, just be just. The problem is a lot when you tell guys, "Oh, be yourself, be authentic," but they don't know who they are.
yeah,
Right? They don't know who they are, they don't know who they want, they don't have any moral grounding. They've never thought like, "Who am I? What do I stand for? What am I trying to do in this world?" And so when you tell them to be who they are, they're like, they're really just going off a playbook that someone else created that said, this is how you should be. No, man.
And that's the worst
You
part
know,
about it. They're just listening to other guys who are their literal competition. It's like the guy who's
or
on the
who don't know.
racetrack.
They don't know. Like it's the blind leading the blind, man. You know? And it's like, I'll tell you this, you want a woman, it begins and ends with treating women like people. That's it.
Mhm.
Right? Everything else is just strategy, right? But the end goal is the same. Treat women like people. Be a good person. Try to be the best man you can, morally, like morally first, morally, intellectually, physically. Physical should be last. Like absolutely train it, absolutely do all that. I go to the gym, but if you're not training yourself morally and you're not training yourself intellectually, which most guys don't,
They don't.
you know, like do you guys sit around and think, what is integrity? You know, what is dependability? What is kindness? What is compassion? Do I exhibit these traits? Am I this person? Are there people that want to be around me? You know, that will call you know, if you got a woman, right? What reason would she have to call for you above everybody else if she was in trouble? Ask yourself that
That's
question.
that's how I knew that I was a decent wife. Like there was recently a car accident outside of the place I live, and my
Mhm.
husband was almost hit by a car. This was after we
Yeah, yeah,
filed for divorce. I was the one that he
yeah.
called, no one else.
Yeah.
I was like, and the thing is that I know that if I have like an emergency at work, I know I can call him.
Right. Like are you the kind of person where you allow your woman to be vulnerable with you because she has that trust that you're not gonna abuse that? If the answer is
Exactly.
no, if the answer is no, you're not a good man. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You know, you are not a good partner. And that's what women are looking for, man. That's the
Mhm.
secret. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants love and affection and intimacy. Go read Viktor Frankl's Search for Meaning. Okay? Like that's what everybody really ultimately, I believe, and I agree with Frankl on this, wants is love, connection, and intimacy. And in order to have that, you have to have trust. In order to build that trust, you have to be dependable. You have to be morally centered. You have to, you're gonna have your bad days. You're gonna have where you're upset, right? But do you
Mhm.
come back and go, "Hey, that was overland, baby. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to do that again." You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Like,
it's like, and if it happens again, and you go, you know what, this is like the second or third time this has happened. I've gotten upset. It's like, I think it's because of this. It's not because of you. I'm gonna get myself out of that situation, so I'll do it again. Like,
exactly. Like, that's such a huge thing because with a lot of the, like, relationships I've seen, it's always just this one issue.
mhm,
And, like, the woman will sit there and she'll be, like, talking to the guy and she'll be like, "Listen, I've explained this in English. I've given you itemized lists. I've suggested this. I've suggested this. Just do it. Please. Anything. Just do these little things." And the guy will sit there and he'll be like, "No," or "Why?" After a certain point, I'm just like, "Bro, do you want to be single? Do you want to have this woman make your life a living hell, or do you want to just make your life easier?" It's like it's the same thing. It's like they're trying so hard to get out of work because they don't see whatever it is as being beneficial to them. But the thing is that, and I've noticed this about like the guys I know who are total ladies men,
mhm,
like they're gonna be the ones who they will splurge whenever they can. They'll come up with, like, the romantic ideas, even, like, when they're, like, long term with a girl, and they'll keep pursuing the girl even when he already has her, and they're such happy guys because for men, I honestly do believe that men feel better and feel more completed when they're actively pursuing a woman, when they're doing the woo and the
yeah.
"Come with me to the Casbah." Maybe that's why Pepe Le Pew was such an upbeat motherfucker on Looney Tunes.
I think a lot. I mean, for me, it's like it it I'm it's hard for me to do things just for myself, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm like even in leadership positions, right?
Mhm.
The thing that I turn to is like, all right, now I got this team. I'm responsible for them. What do I need to like make sure that they have what they need and we can get the best out of each other, and what do we do for that? And so like in a relationship, it's okay, we're gonna grow this thing. you, and part of the struggle was when I was younger, where I was a disaster in relationships, is it was like I would come into it, and I'm ashamed to say of it, is like I was looking for something my mother didn't give me, right? Where it was like, well, she's not doing this. She needs to do this for me. Da 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 da. It's like it was a toxic almost switch, right? And it was born from trauma. And so the thing now is like where I like to be is supportive and just saying, okay, hey, what do you need and what do we need? And
Mhm.
I try to be that person. I don't change or like, go into say, I'm gonna like subsume myself to you, right?
Yeah, it's not.
But no, it's not that, but it's like it's kind of like let's say I date a woman, she has a hard job, she's wiped out when she gets home,
Mhm.
and the little thing that I can do is like cook, clean up the kitchen, just do little things to where it's like when she comes home, she can just de-stress, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, you know, or maybe she likes to cook, but she doesn't like to clean up. All right, fine. I'll do the cleanup, or it's like, or maybe something that's really important to her is like, you know, she wants it, maybe like little things like
Yeah.
she likes to have the mail got, you know,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, so you make sure you get the mail and you have it waiting for her on the table. And, she comes in and it's like, all right, or maybe she likes to have spontaneous stuff. Like when she has the weekend, she wants to go out and do something, but she don't want to plan it because again, and you just say, hey, I was thinking about why don't we go do this, this, and this? Like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that, you know, or some maybe she likes to plan all that stuff and she just wants you to go along. Like,
Mhm.
hey, you want to go do this? And she didn't want to hear, well, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. You just go, yeah, okay, let's do it. Are you sure? Yeah, 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 let's go. You want to do
Yeah.
it? Yeah, let's go. Like, well, we'll go ahead. And you just don't be a killjoy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That
we'll do
was
this.
that
We'll
was a
do
big
this. We'll do
one.
this. Yeah, don't be a killjoy. Just like, okay, she wants to do it. Then just go do it. And if you know that about your woman, then you want to make her happy. It's like, okay. I mean, and a lot of times, like they're not. It's not asking for a whole lot.
Mhm.
It's just little things, and
Exactly.
and it could be just emotional stuff. Is like, is she the kind of person that wants a good morning text and a good night text, or does she prefer a phone call? And a lot of that is like just like in leadership, you have to get to know the person. What do
Mhm.
they prefer? What is their thing? You know, like yeah, like do they want advice? Do they want and a lot of that is effort and work. And a lot of people are just like not they don't want to put that work and effort, and that's the problem. And but that's the only way a relationship works. You
Mhm.
know. And sometimes it's not gonna always be equal. It's gonna rarely be equal. Sometimes it's gonna be 60-40, sometimes 70-30, sometimes 90-10, sometimes 100 nothing.
Yeah.
But
But in
you gotta
order
do it. Yeah.
yeah, like there's
'Cause
no
what if your wife's sick or getting her ass kicked at work? You know, like, hey, don't worry about it. I got the house, I got this, I'll take care of that. No worries.
exactly.
I got you. It's no big deal. You know, it's like, oh, I feel bad. Nah, I don't feel bad. You're going through it right now.
Yeah.
We'll get through it. Don't worry about it. And the thing is,
Like
all these guys want to be masculine men. They want to
but
be, but you ain't got no calm. You ain't got no steady. You ain't got no, you ain't got no like fortitude. You freak out over the littlest thing. And yet you want to talk about, oh, I'm masculine. Bro, just
No,
because you can lift some weights don't make you masculine, you know? Like,
that was that was the weirdest thing. Like a lot of my friends, I actually found out that two of my friends got engaged,
mhm,
and about five of them are actually actively seeking divorce.
damn, I hate that for
And what struck me about this was that all of the ones who sought divorce, without exception,
mm.
um, they all noticed that their husbands changed after they started going to the gym. And we started like talking and we're like, is this something new with gym culture? Is there like some kind of thing where people are noticing, like people are the guy friends are talking at the gym and they're just kind of like spreading like negative bullshit to each other? Because it really is
I mean,
starting to feel like that's a thing.
I think a little bit, man, but I think a lot of it's just, like, it's working out and being a part of the gym, like, because I've gotten back into, say, like, powerlifting, right?
Mhm.
And I do that, and I do rowing and then some yoga, like, just to kinda stretch it out, but it's the thing about it is, like, you're just there for the discipline, you're not there to learn how to be moral,
Yeah.
right? The only thing that's gonna help you is, like, discipline, and that's the thing, is just consistency and repetition. But you'll hear some of the wilder stuff, and you look at 'em and it's just like, dude, it's you know, I think there reaches a certain point where it's like dedication and commitment is what gets you through. And the era that I came from, and I wish more men were like this, and I don't know, maybe back then they weren't, is like being dedicated and committed to something shows the kind of character you have,
Mhm.
right? You know, and the way I look at it is like if you're not dedicated and committed to your woman, then you know, like okay, and I mean, I honestly don't respect guys that treat their wives and girlfriends like shit,
Yeah.
you know,
Like
or just don't do anything, and it's just like, and I've had conversations with my guy friends, like, they'll ask me, it's like, "Oh, my wife's getting on me about this, blah blah blah." I was like, "Yeah, man, she's probably nervous, or she's probably this, And he's like, "Well, I wish she'd understand." Is like, brother, you're gonna have to talk to her a little. You're gonna have to go have like, you're gonna have to swallow your pride on that one, man. You're gonna have to, be a little bit more compassionate, work through it. Because maybe she's not, maybe she ain't ready to tell you what maybe this is something like she's getting on you about this because there's something else bothering her.
yeah.
So maybe you need to like say, hey, well, what's up? Like, what is something, what's bothering you? Like, what's going on? And maybe she didn't feel like she could talk to you about it, you know? And you gotta set the table for that where it's like, okay, let's talk, you know? And you're gonna have to maybe take some stuff where, you know, you don't want to hear it and you might get defensive, but you're gonna have to check that and go, all right, and then this has
Mhm.
been a lot of conversations I've had with people where it's like, I think you're freaking wrong. Nah. And then I'll go back to I'm like, well, they got a point. Well,
Yeah.
all right, I'll change.
No,
You
like
know?
that's growing up though. And
That's
I
it.
feel like so I don't know about you, but I feel like this new generation of young men, like I think some of them are starting to have a mirror held up to their faces and they're not liking what they see.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how do you think that these guys are going to react when, when push comes to shove? There's going to be a certain point where they literally physically won't be able to blame women anymore.
I think for some, and you see this kind of with MAGA, and you see this with other folks, like, is they will keep like the delusion will just grab them and they'll stay there. And then some will be where, like, it's funny, like when I was a young man, we all said we had this, everybody has the fuck, I'm an asshole moment. It's right around your
Mhm.
mid-20s, or maybe a little later, where you're just like, and it was funny because my guy friends and I, we all talked about that. It was like around the same time. It was around 27 where we were just like, "Man, I'm kind of a prick. Man, I don't even like me. You know what? I'm gonna change that." And I think that's where some young men will do that. Like, some will, say, "I'm tired of being lonely. I know I'm the problem. Let me change." Some won't, you know? I
Someone.
wish I could be I wish I could be more hopeful and say, "Well, the majority of young men will figure it out." Nah, I think the majority of men will probably, unless something really smacks them upside the head, will just continue to blame women, even as women, like, and I think the sad part will be is what's different is, like, I think why they're mad is, like, unlike past generations, women just aren't putting up with it. They're just gonna be like,
Yeah.
"You know what? Fuck it. I'd rather be single." You know? Like, I'd rather just have girlfriends in my life and, some animals,
Mhm.
and and, you know, and it's like, things that would have been a deal breaker maybe 10 years ago, like, "Oh my god, he's 20 years older than me." That's not gonna be a deal breaker, guys. Like, it's just,
No, like,
you
I
know?
recently went out on a date with a guy who was, 11 years older than me,
Yeah.
and I had the fucking time of my life. Like, I'm not even gonna front, like, the dude actually had me, like, blushing and giggling like a schoolgirl. I was like, I didn't know that that kind of stuff could actually come out of somebody as jaded as me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's and I think, I think that that's just at a certain point, like, all these guys who talk about accountability and responsibility and, no one owes you anything. And it's like, okay, well, live by it, dude. The
Mhm.
problem is you have to, when you don't think you're the problem and everyone else is the problem, all of women are the problem. You can't really be helped at that point,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's like, yeah, but there's crazy women out there. Yes, there are. There are crazy women out there. There are crazy men too,
Yeah.
right? Well, there's women that are deceitful. Yes, there are. So are men. All right, now what you got? And my thing is like, well, what about a woman like blah 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 blah? I was like, cool, don't date that one. You know. And then they
So
think, and then I'll say to this is like, well, this and this and I, and then eventually I'll just tell them, I was like, listen, man, you've talked this entire time about what's wrong with women. What about you? What are you doing to work on yourself? Are you saying you're perfect? Are you saying there's nothing to fix? Nothing at all. Everything about you is hunky dory and amazing. Okay, then why haven't you gotten at least one woman? Because if you're amazing and you're all that and you're the greatest catch ever, like, or maybe there's some shit you need to work on, my brother.
yeah, like, it's funny because I've noticed that too, and I've noticed, like, so many, like, specifically right-wing guys,
Mhm.
they have this villain arc where one girl cheated on him or one girl abused him or whatever, and they just end up being, like, the most awful human beings. And when you actually like, I've actually met one of the girls who was so-called the character in this one guy's villain arc.
Oh God.
She was an actual sweetheart, and she was like, "I don't know what happened, but, like, I realized I slept with another guy, but it wasn't like, I didn't mean to hurt him. Like, I did care about him, it's just that it wasn't working out and X, Y, and Z." And I was just saying, I was like, like, people can cheat on one another and still care about each other. I honestly do believe that, especially, like, if you're just, like, not wired for monogamy, that's gonna be a thing. I personally am one of those people.
Yeah, and I mean, I always put it back on those guys, um, where because I've heard that story too, right? Oh, this one girl, blah 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 blah. I was like, wow. So you, I was like, man, you're that morally weak, huh? I was like, so you're gonna let one woman turn you into an asshole, right?
Mhm.
That's how weak you are, right? So you're
Quote
gonna let
Batman
this
villain.
you're gonna let this woman control your life for the rest of your days and influence your behavior. That woman still has a hold on you. Right? That's what you're saying. And furthermore, you're so weak in moral agency, you can't control your own behavior.
Ooh.
You you can't control your own behavior. You have to go out and you have to be an asshole, right? You can't you can't just say, "You know what? In spite of what this one person did to me, I'm not gonna act that way. I'm not gonna let this change me. I'm not gonna let this make me a horrible person. I'm gonna go out and I'm still gonna be this, right? Because at a certain point, and this is what it comes down to, understanding your own morality and where you're at, is that in I'm gonna live by this in spite of what the world throws at me, because this is
Hmm.
important to me, you know? And that is the to me, the essence of actually being a man. You live by what you say you are. You're not controlled by women. You're not controlled by, this and that. It's like, you're supposed to be steady. You're supposed to be reliable. You're supposed to be dependable, right? Whatever you give your word, you keep it. Period. That's it. And the thing about it is like, well, this happened to me. Great. Keep your word. Well, this happened to me. Great. Then get over it and change it. And it's like, listen, I get it's hurt, man, and I get you're going through it. Work through your trauma, and it's going to be tough. But and if that trauma makes you do bad things, or it colors your perception, you act like an asshole for a little while, then come back and say, you know what, hey, I'm sorry about that. I was going through something, and I shouldn't act that way, and you didn't deserve that. I apologize. And
Exactly.
that's it. But you're not. But you know, just because a woman hurt you doesn't mean you get to hurt everyone else.
Yeah, this is not a Batman villain story, okay?
No.
Like, I swear, sometimes I think these superhero movies do more harm than good because I've noticed that for some reason guys watch them, and I feel like a lot of the younger men in particular have this weird feeling like they need to be praised for what a superhero does because the superhero is a man. And I'm just saying, I'm like, what is this? And then like it's that same normalization of like the Batman villain type arc. This girl was evil, so I must hate all girls. I'm like,
It's
bro.
like it's like all this sigma male, alpha male horse shit, where it's like, listen, just be a man, just be a good man, period. Well, I'm an alpha, whatever. I don't care. Like, well, I'm sick. No, you're not. Just why don't you just start on being a decent man? Start there before you start adding a qualifier onto it. Just keep your word. Be supportive. Be a productive member of your community and for your family. Show up, you know, help people,
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, well, it's like, well, people don't do that for me. It's like, okay, do you think that's fucked up? Yeah. Okay, well, then don't be that way, period.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't hard, man. It's like, if you think that's messed up, then why would you want to mimic that behavior? You know?
Yo, that is something that we need to like actually start drilling into these guys.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what confounds me, is like, that's what seems to be lost, is like, if you think that's messed up, then why would you do it? Why would you subject someone else? And I saw this with like, you see this when I'd be in aviation. It's like, we got like not overtime, but we got like, if you worked over a certain hour, like, because we were mandated to work 50 hours a week. And if you went over that, you got like hours at regular time, right? And then you have these guys, we didn't get that back in my day. Oh, so because you suffered, then I'm supposed to continue suffering too.
yeah, this
No.
isn't a fraternity. You don't need to be hazing people, dude.
Right. It's like it's like, well, we didn't get that, and it's not fair. You're right. You should have got it back then, but you didn't.
Mhm.
And now we changed it. It's like, dude, just as you shouldn't have been hurt, right? And you shouldn't have been wrong, then don't be the somebody else's reason to be wronged and hurt.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you want to pretend you're stoic? It's like, all
Oh,
right,
that's a big one.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius from Meditations, like, the best revenge is to not be like that, you know? Or these guys who read stoicism but don't live stoicism. It's like, yeah, you want to know what Marcus Aurelius says is the height of masculinity? Gentleness. and being of the public and being of public service. You know, having compassion. That's the height of masculinity for Marcus Aurelius.
And he was kind of
That's
an authority on that. And they keep on, it's always the MRAs that have like those stupid, like Grecian heads as their profile pics. And they're like, I'm a stoic. Fucking whore.
no
Like,
right. I'm a stoic, but I can't seem to control my temper. Right.
yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, man, I can't stay faithful to one woman. I got to get laid. It's like, oh, okay, so you're a sex addict then. Well, no, man. It's like, well, yeah, because as uh, Epictetus said when talking about addictions is it an indulgence or an addiction? Because an indulgence is something you can choose to refrain from. If you can choose to refrain from it, it's just an indulgence. But if you can't and you don't have control over it, it's an addiction. And then that
Hmm.
has a power over you, right? So this woman that did you wrong, that influences your behavior from now until the end of time, you're addicted to that woman, right?
Yep.
But don't tell me you're a stoic because that's influencing your behavior. That is influencing who you are morally, right? That's, in fact, again, the best revenge is to not be like that. This person did me wrong. I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to be this way because this is who I am. And it's not so you can feel morally superior. It's because that's who you are. And that's how you want to move through the world, period.
Exactly.
And that's what
Anywho.
being a dependable man is all about. You know?
And that's the funniest thing. Like, I noticed that women are starting to act more genuinely stoic
Mhm.
and more genuinely like compassionate. They're taking all the
Yeah.
leadership roles in society because men have pretty much abdicated from that.
Yeah.
The idea
Yeah.
of being a leader is kind of a dying art in America, especially considering the quote unquote leaders we have right now in the Oval Office. Guys are seeing that and they're idolizing it because a lot of a lot of guys who have this toxic mindset, they genuinely would be exactly like Donald Trump if they had the power. They want to
Yeah.
have revenge. They feel aggrieved and they can't even figure out why they're aggrieved.
Yeah. It's the crazy thing about this is again, and people hold him up as a height of masculinity, which blows me away. And what's fascinating about like these, especially the younger guys, is like you see the memes on him or even the gifs. He's always this jack dude, where he's like super buff and like, like
Square
bodybuilder,
jawed.
like yeah, and you go, this from a guy who's admitted publicly he never liked to lift weights ever, period. He's never lifted a weight in his life and he's never done a hard day's work. He's never like done any kind of physical labor, period. And again, it's this sort of like what it is they want this fantasy where they think that being a man is just having your indulgences fed, right?
Mhm.
Oh, it's like, oh, you get to be strong, and women go and like, like, oh my god, that's so amazing, blah blah blah. It was funny because like the great awakening for that for me was when I joined the military and I thought, "Oh, yeah, man, women love a guy in uniform, blah, blah, blah." And there's a video that's going around, I cracks me up where it's this guy, he's in the army, he's like, "Yeah, so I'm an 82nd Airborne and I'm 11 Bravo," and it's got, like, 3 girls, they're like, "Oh my god, wow, that's amazing." And it's like the fantasy, and then he goes to the reality, it's like he's like, "Yeah, I'm 11 Bravo," and there's another guy, he's like, "Dude, so am I!" And there's no women to be found either. And that's it. Is the thing in where these guys are like, yeah, it's like I'm a man and this and that and blah, blah. No, you're a boy because a boy is someone who wants all their indulgences filled. Mommy, get me a juice. Mommy, get me a meal. Mommy, get me wipe my ass for me. Manhood is supposed to be about growth, responsibility to yourself, to your family, to your community, to your nation, and it's It's about duty. It's about
Yeah.
things that you have to do, right? You become a husband, those vows you take, those are commitments. Commitments are duties.
Yeah.
That's it. And so these guys don't they just wanna be little boys. They want to be indulged. They want, like you said, pussy come flying at them, and it's like, "Oh my god, you're a man and you showed up." It's like, and the thing is, it's like, do you wanna be a man or do you wanna be a little boy?
And the funny thing is that like they keep yearning for like the 40s and 50s, and they thought that there'd be like the guy in the suit with like a side piece in the office and the wife at home and all this. The truth is that like 90% of the men like right now in the US, they would not be able to hack it as, a adult man in the 40s or 50s because you
No
not
way possible.
you you knock up a girl, oh, you better expect to get married and you better be paying child support for the rest of your life because family would find you. You would never be able to get hired. You'd never be able to do anything in society without people knowing that you're the guy who walked out on the kids. Oh, you want to get laid. Well, the risks towards having sex were much higher back then. Like they're starting to get to that way now again. And guys are already freaking out because they're afraid to pay for a dinner, let alone a condom. Most guys had to actually propose before they could get laid.
Oh, it's even it's kind of it's even worse now is like that's it's even worse back then because this is basically what your life was as a man back then if you were lucky enough to be white, okay? If you were a white working class man by the even before you got out of high school, you will work like if you were lucky to finish high school, you had a job,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you worked in a factory and you had set hours. Okay, yeah, that's great. But you still weren't rich. Your wife still had to scrimp and save. Oh, and guess what? They didn't have birth control back then. So if you wanted to have sex with your wife and you knocked her up, that's why you had 4 and 5 kids until the Warren Court, said, "Hey, pharmacists, you actually have to give." Because how did they get it through where women could have birth control? They said, "Well, a lot of husbands don't want all these 4 and 5 and 6 kids. They want their wives to be on birth control." That's how they got it through,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, it's like, all right, you have sex with your wife. And you have another kid. So now you can't drink as much beer. You got to take more hours. You got to you literally are committed to your family and you're hoping and praying and you're pushing for better public education because then maybe your son can go to college and actually get a better job and a better house and do better than you did. But your life is
And
work. That's what your life is. It's work
yeah,
and duty to your family. And if you're lucky, might get a good vacation once a year down the shore where you sit outside of a hotel room where you're playing cards and drinking wine, and that's about what you get. Mm.
and here's the other thing that guys don't realize. They want to outlaw birth control. Well, you know what was used as birth control prior to the widespread use of the pill? It was Lysol, the bleach. Women would put that up there. And let me
Yep.
tell you something. You know how this was actually kind of like an old school take because I don't really see many women whose vaginas smell really bad.
Yeah.
Even mine, like I have porphyria and even after I pee, I don't smell bad down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like with most women who like if you ever put bleach in your vagina, you're gonna have rotting flesh in there. That whole thing about smelling like low tide and smelling like death warmed over down there, that being a slut shaming thing, that's because that they were saying that that woman was on birth control.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
not only were these guys having to deal with trying to do the pull out thing and whatever, or having to deal with more hours, work, because the parents would have fucking shot them if they didn't. They also got less quality pussy because they were literally hitting it with something covered in bleach. Could you imagine sticking your dick in something covered in bleach? Because I sure as hell can't imagine sticking my vagina in something covered in bleach.
Yeah, I
Explicit
mean,
contraceptives.
exactly. And that's it, the other thing too is like you look at what the Teamsters had to do to get their union back in the day, it's like, are you willing to get beaten by like the thugs management hires, right? Are you willing to get shot to get better wages? You know why they're willing to do that? For their fucking family, right?
Yeah.
So are you willing to work in unsafe conditions, like extra hours because you need it? Like hard, grueling, brutal work where you're liable to get freaking black lung or you're liable to get something that's debilitating. Like, man, you guys don't know all the sacrifices your grandparents made so you can have what you have now, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's the funniest thing is I saw a meme once. It said, some nostalgic asshole on the right who was saying, oh, well, some Christmases, we didn't have anything. And then some Christmases we got a bike, and that's just how it was. And then it's like, and it's like, yeah, that's because, as grandma said, the year you got the bike is when we got the union.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, it's like, I, it's what it's this entitlement that I see from a lot of young men who just, they feel like they're owed something, right?
They do.
And you see that in a lot of these right wing men where it's like, yeah, Jared Kushner was one of them where it's just like, if I just act a certain way and I put on a suit and act smarmy, like I'm going to get it. It's like, I don't have to educate myself. I don't have to become a subject matter expert. I don't have to be a better leader. I don't have to do, I don't have to do any of these things. I just have to just show up. And it used to blow me. It would blow me away where it's like, you know, it's where they think they're owed all of this stuff, and it kills me. Yeah, Greg Bovino is a great example. Like, oh, I look like I'm a fascist, and I just walk around with a bunch of people, and I have this smug grin on my face, and it's like, you know, and yeah, it's the worst thing. And again, this is why you guys are failing with women
Yeah.
because women are sick of entitled men. That's it. They're just tired of it because unfortunately for women, they're not entitled to shit, and they understand that, so they go out and they earn things. They go out and they have to overcome the patriarchy. They come out and they have to do all this extra stuff, and then here you are like, "I just wanna be an additional burden on your life." Good luck with that, you know?
Exactly. I love seeing all those guys like they're going abroad. They're whatchamacallit, they're looking for a traditional wife abroad. And there was a couple of videos of guys like one guy went to Morocco and he was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to get a wife." And he was like, "So I want to marry you." And she's like, "That's great." And she was like, "How much do you make?" And I was like, "Well, I figure we'll both pull in." She was like, "Nuh-uh. Hold on. What makes you think I'm working? I'm taking care of the house. That's my job." He's like, "Well, I'm American. Women in America work." And she's like, "Then go get an American woman. Why can't you do that?" And you could just see like his brain breaking. I was just like, yeah, as it turns out, like the funny thing is that, and I'll say this as somebody who, like, I am unapologetic about this. If I could be a housewife for somebody and just be like this crazy kinky housewife, just cooking and cleaning, entertaining guests, that I would be happy as a clam. I'd be like, "Yep, nope, I'm not working anymore. Hubby,
Sure.
you're in charge of everything. You're the leader of the household. Just tell me what to do." And, I might keep up my Substack and stuff as a hobby, but like, I'd be down for that. Most American women would be down for that. They're just angry that we don't also want to pay 50-50 of the bills when we're doing 100% of the housework.
It's like, dude, then what are you doing at that point? Like, what? That's what kills me, is like, you know, I I think that's what kills me with this generation of men is like masculinity when I was coming up seemed to be is like, all right, man, who wants the hard job? I do. All right, who wants to go and do the hard thing? I do. Who wants to lead? I do. I want it. Give it to me. And then but you take all the pressures and everything that comes with that. You know,
Mhm.
like being able, I'm the boss. That's wonderful. Good for you. But you also take all the accountability and responsibility and all the problems, you know. And what sets you apart as the man is you go, no, that's why I signed up because I want to make things better, and that's why I did it. I could care less whether people call me boss or manager or whatever the hell. I don't give a shit. I want to make things better. And so it's if you if that's how you move through the world, that's how you strive to be. But a lot of these guys are like, well, they're like Trump. Oh, I want my Nobel Peace Prize, but I don't actually want to do anything for it. Right.
I
I
mean,
don't,
obviously, Trump is the president of peace. I mean, it's not like he's incited a civil war here, incited multiple like genocides elsewhere. He's totally peaceful, dude. Like, obviously.
it's like, yeah, well, I work a lot. It's like, great. I worked a lot when I was a young man too. What else you got?
So I kind of realized that we ran quite a bit over, but I want to wrap this up with just like a quick poll from the chat. Who wants uppies from Fred Poag? I want uppies. I didn't realize you were that tall. I want uppies.
Uppies? Oh, you mean like standing? I'm 6'5", so it's like, you know, but yeah, let's see. I'm gonna have to go up with the camera. So there you go.
Oh my God, I got an uppie. I feel like I'm being lifted up.
Yeah, and then there's the rest of all the books.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. And
yeah.
you're single.
I'm single. Yeah. Well, I was out of the dating market for like I was moving around the country, basically doing like TDY, temporary duty stations in the aviation, and then the pandemic hit, and I was a caregiver for my mom and my sister. So, um, I did that for like 4 years, and I kind of just now got out of where I'm not doing caregiving full time. I'm kind of going back like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where my
Hmm.
life wants to go and what do I want to do. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's try dating again. And it's like coming off the island and you go back into the world. And you're like, I feel like what was I'm trying to remember the old guy in Shawshank Redemption, where it's just like the world went and got itself in a big damn hurry, where he's like out of the institution and he's like back out in the world, and I'm like, what the hell's a non-ethical monogamy? Like, and what's this? What's a polypod? You know, and I had a girl that I was working with explain it to me, you know, and she was like, "Well, a polypod's this, and I'm part of this, and I'm blah blah." I was like, "Sounds like a company org chart, man." I say, "Hey, but if it works for you, go for it." You know what I mean? Like, who
No,
am
like
I to?
between your accent, the
Yeah.
books, and just like the way that you treat people, I think that I'd probably end up having to deal with like pulling apart women from cat fights over you up here.
I don't know, man. I met some of these. I've seen some of these New York girls and how they move. It's like, whew, them New York women are tough, bro. It's like,
No, we're psychos.
I like them. I like them. It's like, it's like they know what they want and they go for it. So it's like, all right, I could dig it, you know.
Hmm. Just be
But
careful. We are kind of psycho, and I speak as one. Um, Anywho, this has been Oceana Talks to People, dude. We got to do this again.
yeah, let's do it again. Yeah, just let me know. Be
All
down to
right,
do it. I appreciate it.
later.
Y'all have a good
Bye.
one. I'll catch you later. Bye.